Am I right that you're reaching out to me because of my role on Pro Bono Ontario?
Yeah, I'm reaching out to you because of your role at, I think, are you the vice chair?
That's right, yep.
Yes. Yeah, given that you guys actually have a page and a phone number dedicated to people experiencing sexual harassment, it was odd to me to have a conversation with Ms. McHenry yesterday, who was telling me it's your policy to discriminate against people who were labeled vexatious. Vexatious is being commonly used against self-represented people as a defense. That's discrimination. That's against the Human Rights Code.
If you're seeking to go to the Supreme Court of Canada over this issue, that is not an issue that Pro Bono Ontario would be able to assist with. We just don't have the capacity to do those kinds of
Your website says differently, though. It does say that you are able to help with people who are going to the Supreme Court. And that's not the reason that were given to me by Isabella, Mike, and now Kirsty. They're telling me that simply because you've been declared vexatious, if you're appealing that, right, and if you don't agree that that's discriminatory, if somebody came along to you and labeled you vexatious, do you not think that that's dehumanizing and degrading, particularly when somebody has been sexually harassed?
I confess, and I'm sorry, what is your first name?
So where I was looking for assistance is really procedural things, that even other lawyers have told me that they even have issues with because there's so many procedures. The reason my matter ended up with so many hearings is because the judges were reversing orders, right? And it's because
I'm not sure. Candidly, I'm not sure that the pro bono hotline lawyers will have this expertise. Like, I sometimes do a shift on the hotline, and I wouldn't know the answer to what the procedural. Like, are you looking to have the vexatious litigant label lifted?
Well, that as well as I would like to be able to present my case, right? So where I'm looking for like procedural. So like if you're going to court, if you're going to appealing your case, are there procedural? Are there some rules that I should know about? If you guys are lawyers, you should know procedural things, right? You should know if somebody's going to the Supreme Court. What are some rules that they have to know, or, whatever other questions that come up like that, right? Like if I'm going, like if they, let's say if the registrar, I'm just using as a candid example, let's say if the registrar is, not allowing you to file your appeal. Well, what came out is that apparently then you have the right to put in a motion to go in front of a single judge. So, things like that is what I would ask them about, so that therefore I'm not missing deadlines and I'm preparing my materials. Right? And again, why would they be in a situation? First of all, the vexatious label is discriminatory, right? Because it's commonly used.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt you. That's not something that pro bono is going to be able to do anything about. Like, we don't set the criteria for a vexatious litigant, but if you're looking to apply to the court to lift that, then I agree there may be procedural questions that you will have. I mean, that's not a Supreme Court of Canada matter, but I assume it's a Superior Court matter that you would be applying to have that vexatious litigant label lifted. Is that right? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah. That's well. It's. I think the first thing is I was not asking for them to lift the vexatious litigant. What I was asking for is what steps do I have to take? For instance, to I guess appeal that. Right? What would happen is Mike would get on the phone. He would put me on an indefinite hold. Isabella, when I did get a hold of her, she was literally rude, and she made it very clear that she did not want to help me. And that's discrimination, right? Everybody, the whole reason pro bono is there, and you guys, I just found it's interesting that you guys actually have a hotline for people who've been sexually harassed. And yet there they are telling me it's their policy not to help somebody simply because, like, if you've declared whatever order you get from a court, you have a right to appeal that. So if you're appealing that, and pro bonos does have support to be able to help people who are appealing things, you should be able to reach out to pro bono. I understand you can't be on the phone for hours, but that was not the case with me. They would always, within 20 or 30 minutes, they would tell me, oh, well, your time is up kind of thing. You got to call back tomorrow. Right? Which is not.
I have to say, just to be very candid, you and I have been talking for 20 minutes now, and it's not actually entirely clear to me what you're asking for. Well, so I can see what might be happening is you're calling the hotline, and I can tell you, we will have a wait list of 20 callers waiting to speak with us. And if it's not really clear, if you're calling to complain about someone being rude, let me, on behalf of Pro Bono Ontario, apologize for that. None of our lawyers should ever be rude to any callers, and so I apologize if that was the case. But there's nothing that we can do about the vexatious litigant criteria.
I didn't ask you about that. I
guess that's what I'm asking you, is what is it that you are asking for help?
Well, I'm asking in general, why is Kirsty McHenry telling me that pro bono will discriminate against anybody who's been labeled vexatious in light of the fact that they're trying to get assistance to appeal it?
I am quite confident, without having even spoken to Kirsty, I am quite confident that is not what she was saying yesterday.
Yeah, she definitely did. I can verify that.
Okay. I'm quite confident that is not what she was intending to communicate to you.
Well, I can.
Again, the issue is if we have a caller that has been identified as a vexatious litigant, that is somebody who is likely abusing the system and is taking up time from other Ontarians that really do need legal assistance.
But that's an assumption. If the person's appealing it, right? So in other words, you're presuming that just because they have an order. So if you have a judge that gives any order, are you saying that all of those are absolutely the correct decision and therefore nobody has the right to appeal it?
No, that's quite clearly not what I'm saying. And so let me go back to my question to you. Is the issue that you're trying to get assistance with appealing the very vexatious litigant order? Was it an order that was issued against you?
Yes.
And so you're trying to appeal that order?
I'm appealing that, and I'm also appealing my entire case that I was not able to present after I got labeled. So I'm looking for procedural assistance on appealing that.
So what is your procedural question?
What do you mean what my procedural question is? I don't know the procedure as how to do that. So what I would do, and this started last year, is when I first got that order, I contacted them and I said, well, how can I, help me, tell me what procedure I have to follow. Like, you're asking me to tell you what the procedure is on appealing something. And if you're a lawyer...
I apologize. That's not what I meant. I misspoke. What I was asking is what, you said that you're looking for procedural advice, advice on the procedural steps that you need to take. And so I was just asking, what is the question you have about that?
But that would be a question right there. What is the procedure that I have to take to appeal this? Right? If somebody's self-represented, they're not going to know what steps they have to take. So that's when they would...
I understand now.
Like, that's when, like, if I come from the telecom industry. If I start talking to you about data networks and things like that, you're not going to understand our telephone systems and how you program. You're going to be like, you're going to say, well, what do I need to make my internet work? You're not going to, understand if I start telling you about all these other things, right? But if I sit down and say,
I understand your point.
You understand? So for you to ask me what procedural steps do you need help in? Well, I need to know what procedural steps do I need to take. So, right?
No, I understand, but we talked about quite a few different things today. So I guess what I meant is, are you looking for someone to represent you in bringing a complaint against this judge? Are you looking for someone to represent you?
I didn't ask that. I thought
your estate's case. Are you looking for someone to represent or some advice in appealing the vexatious litigant order?
I've been abundantly clear. I've never asked for somebody to represent, so that's not what I was looking to pro bono for. Pro bono doesn't even offer that service. I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
Yes, I agree. I'm just trying to understand what the issue is what you need help on. Maybe that's the simpler way to put it.
I think I've already told you several times. I was looking for procedural directions, right? Procedural information to be able to help me in these kind of a situation. If pro bono was aware of any organizations who can help me further, then, they could have let me know as well, right? That, here's some other organizations that might be able to give you some, additional legal information or whatever. But if somebody's calling, and I would think the majority of self-represented people that are going to be calling your hotline, which is what you guys are actually set up for, I would believe that they would be calling your hotline asking for information on procedural stuff. And if they had, questions about, their specific case, and we're saying, is there any case study that you can recommend for me? Are you guys able to do any research for me? Anything like that, any help at all that would come under your mandate. And particularly if you have a page, and I took a picture of it, of you guys having a hotline specifically for people for sexual harassment. So it's interesting to me that I spoke to Kirsty at length yesterday, and she was telling me that basically, oh no, we don't help you just because you've been declared vexatious, in spite of me already telling her about the sexual harassment. And then even today in the call with you, you're pretending like you don't know what the types of information that I would be looking to the hotline for. I mean, when I spoke to you initially, I said to you that what's been happening is right now, if I can call right now from my other phone. If I call right now, I cannot get through to the hotline. Right? It seems like it seems.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a moment here. You are starting to be quite rude to me, and if that's what you're doing when you're calling our volunteers on the hotline, I can understand why Kirsty's view is she's asking you not to call the hotline any longer. So I'm doing my very best to help you, and it certainly sounds like you've had some very challenging experiences, and I really am very sorry that those things have happened to you. But I'm doing my best to help you, and being rude to me is not going to help you.
How am I being rude to you?
Okay. What is it that I can do for you right now?
Well, I think I've told you that several times. But how am I being rude to you? By telling you about the experience I've had with your hotline? Right now, I just finished telling you, if I call from one of my phone numbers, I first of all cannot get through to the hotline. Number two, when I did get through last year before somebody started screening out calls from my phone number, which is obviously
I can tell you we do not have sophisticated technology, so that I can tell you for certainty your calls are not being screening out. It may be that once your call comes up in the call notes, there's a note saying you have been identified as a vexatious litigant, and that is causing some issues for you. I agree, but there's no reason why your phone number wouldn't be coming through. So that might be a technical issue on your end. I'm not
No,
sure.
I've called from several.
But what? Because I am going to have to go. So what is it that I can help you with?
But every time I'm explaining it to you, you're trying to shut me down. I'm trying to explain the situation.
I apologize. Explain it again.
So number one, when I call from one of my phone numbers, right? I was calling from my main phone number initially, and then I found that I could not get through. So then I started calling from my cell phone. I got through. When I got through, I got people like Mike who would put me on an indefinite hold. When I got a hold of Isabella, and don't say that I was rude to them, because I was never rude to them, but I'm telling them exactly things that they're doing. If they're doing things which are rude to me, then I need to address it and say, well, why are they treating me like this? Right? So then when I would get a hold of Isabella, she would say, oh, because you're a vexatious litigant, we cannot help you. So then I had a conversation with, then I haven't called for a year. And then, when I got a hold of Christy yesterday, she said, just because you've been declared vexatious, we cannot help you. So I said, well, that is something that I'm appealing. Any decision that somebody's appealing, your group is supposed to be able to help them with, right? Because they're looking to appeal it, right? That's access to justice. That's your right to appeal it. Your group helps people to appeal it. You even help people who are on their way to the Supreme Court, but it seems that that's not assistance for me, right? Because I had a conversation with her at length yesterday.
I'm going to cut you off because I have to go. So I take it what you're asking for is for pro bono to consider giving you procedural advice, even though you've been labeled a vexatious litigant. You're saying you don't think it's fair that we're not going to do that because you have been labeled vexatious litigant, and yet the very thing you're trying to do is to overturn that order.
Well, I guess not only me. I think anybody who's been labeled vexatious, but particularly someone who's been sexually harassed, and that's the reason she was labeled vexatious. I don't think that your group should be trying to discriminate against those people. I mean, I hope that is a pretty clear statement that I've said there.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to take this conversation and speak with Kirsty about it. I can tell you that unfortunately we don't have capacity to answer nearly as many calls as come through on the hotline. So as it is, we don't have enough volunteers to help people who are calling with specific issues, and so it may well be that just on a fairness basis, Pro Bono Ontario has set as a policy that we just are not able to assist vexatious litigants. But I understand you're asking us to reconsider that, and I'm happy to speak with Kirsty about that.
Yeah, no, like I said, the fact that you guys have a hotline for people who've been sexually harassed, and yet somebody who calls in just for the fact that they've been sexually harassed by a judge, and then was labeled vexatious, I think that is really disturbing that you guys would be discriminating against somebody like that. And like I said, if I sat down with you and I called from one of my phones, it's not going to go through. Yet, if I call from my sister's phone, it'll go through. So there's definitely somebody's, and I come from the telecom industry, so I can tell you that you can have that programmed either within your phone system or within the lines. I come from telecom. That's my background. Okay.
I think you and I have both expressed our views on all of these issues now. So as I said, I'm going to speak with Kirsty about this. I don't anticipate the outcome will change, but I will certainly raise the issues that you and I have discussed with her. So
you guys are discriminating against a label that's commonly used against self-represented people who cannot afford a lawyer, and that is the reason they're self-representing, which is actually the majority of the Canadian litigants today. So you're actually saying that your mandate, which is to help people who cannot afford a lawyer, something that is commonly being labeled onto them for no fault of their own. And in my case, it's an egregious one because it's due to sexual harassment by a judge. So you don't want to help somebody, so you're going against your mandate.
No, that's certainly not what I'm saying. That's certainly not what I'm saying. So I am sorry to hear that your experiences have not been good with Pro Bono Ontario, and I again will raise these issues with Kirsty, and I'm sorry that you've had some real challenges, and I genuinely wish you the best.
So I just wanted, so there's just a couple of issues. First of all, there's the issue.
I'm sorry. I've been on the phone.
Can I just sum it up?
45 minutes.
Can I just sum up what my issues are? Number one, I cannot get through to the line. It looks like somebody has screened out my phone number. Number two, when I do get through to the line, somebody's either putting me on an indefinite hold, or when I do get a hold of them, they're hanging up. Sometimes they're picking up the phone and they're hanging up. Or you're getting somebody like Isabella who's saying, oh, because you're vexatious, we're not going to help you. So those are my issues. Like you went into more because you were asking me about the specific procedural issues or questions I'm having. That's why this conversation has gone on long. Those are my issues. Those are the issues that I'm having. The individual stuff, well, I don't know. As I'm doing research, if something comes on, it was nice, something comes up, it was nice to be able to call pro bono and say, what is this the correct procedural route, or do you know of another one to help me?
I understand.
Right? So hopefully that's pretty clear. And, I have to speak to somebody about it because it's really not right. And I can tell you, she for sure told me, that it's because she's discriminating, or I guess pro bono's discriminating really against the people that you're supposed to be helping, because it's self-represented people.
I think we're just repeating ourselves now. So I don't agree, and I've listened very thoughtfully to your views on these issues, and I will discuss them with Kirsty. And again,
So what is it that you don't agree with? I don't understand what you don't agree with.
I'm sorry. I don't want to hang up on you because that's such a rude thing to do. But I really would like to end the call now.
No, but I guess I don't have a clear understanding as to what you don't agree. You don't agree that Kirsty said that to me, or you don't?
That you don't have a clear understanding. I think I've articulated myself quite well. So I am going to hang up now. I wish you well. I am going to speak with Kirsty very shortly.
But when
I thank you for calling me.
Yeah, but when you asked me to clarify, I clarified for you.
And I wish you all the very best.
So but when I asked you, when you asked me about clarifying things,
I'm Mr. Saad. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, so I guess you're not going to help people. You're saying that that's not your mandate.